Hi, and welcome to Mic Drop Insights and Lessons from CI Thought Leaders. My name is Gary Cox. I am your host. I'm also the author of the book Cultivating Champions of CI, a leader's toolbox for creating a continuous improvement culture. This is part 3 of a 3-part series that I'm doing with Olaf Boettger. Now, Olaf is a vice president at the Danier Group. He has been excellent in this last couple of episodes talking about doing less better. And in this third and final episode, we talk about the need to slow down to speed up, and you're going to hear some advice from him on that. I also asked Olaf about how he grows as a coach, and I think if you're into coaching others, you're going to want to hear 3 pieces of advice that he has for you around becoming a better coach. And he also has some advice for middle managers. And finally, when I asked the question, what books have influenced him the most, you're going to be interested to hear those as well. You're going to be on your reading list. All right, let's jump right into it. I talk about the DMAIC methodology: define, measure, analyze, improve, control in Lean Six Sigma. And I said, we use the mantra that a problem well defined is half solved.
Yeah, I agree.
And so I don't mind spending time upfront in the define phase because that tells, everybody specifically the depth of the problem, the impact of the problem, the data associated with how it's aligning to the strategic priorities. All that happens in the define phase, which sets you up for a faster execution in the end than executing through the project only to find that you didn't address the root cause, or you didn't get the results you were looking for because you didn't establish the baseline up front.
Yeah, I agree. And it reminds me of a little story when I was at university in Germany. We had a fantastic organizational psychology professor, and he was doing some research about how people work together in little teams, 2 or 3 teams. And what he found out was exactly what you said, right? The people who spend more time in the define phase, what is it that we're trying to solve? How are we going to work? How do we structure this? Were a lot more successful than the people who jumped right in. And I must confess that in those days, I totally did not get it. I'm like, it's fully clear what we were trying to do. Let's get on with it. Except that if you have 3 people, you have at least 4 opinions about what the problem is we're trying to solve. And it's exactly what you said, right? Walk slow to go fast.
We mentioned a couple of books here. Do you have a favorite book that has really kind of changed your perspective on how you approach coaching in business?
There are a number of ones. One is certainly Greg McKeown's Essentialism, this brutal idea of focus, right? So that's a good book. I would recommend. And then the other one, more on a company scale, is Jim Collins' Good to Great.
Right.
What makes the difference between a sort of a normal company versus, or a good company versus a great company? That's another one I would recommend. And then I had the opportunity as part of my coaching training to work a bit with David Peterson. And he unfortunately passed away, I think last year or the year before, who was Google's leader of coaching. And what I was fascinated with David as a coach was that David jumped right in with a very simple question. Hey, Gary, what would you like to work on today? And he got things done with very busy people in Google and elsewhere. He did a lot of kind of transparent coaching on LinkedIn and so on, on YouTube. He got things solved in 30, 35, 40 minutes for his coaching clients, which others, myself included, would probably spend a couple of hours, if not days or weeks. So I learned a lot from David. Unfortunately, he isn't really put that in the book, so it was more kind of pragmatic knowledge from hearing him teach and look at some of the YouTube examples. But that was another fascinating example, which has taught me a lot in coaching, right? You can do this, use great questions, focused questions, you can get to a solution, you can help the other person get to a solution very, very quickly. Very impressive.
I think that's the art of a good leader. I think is the art of asking questions, good
I agree.
questions, and
I
I
agree.
agree about the idea of the coaching as well. I there is an art to asking the right questions. I'm always continually reading and learning so that I can find out what questions I need to be asking. Is
Yeah.
what's been your approach to your own development as a coach?
Well, learning, right? I always, my sort of guiding principles and continuous improvement are courage, humility, and discipline. So the courage to say, I'm not world class in coaching or asking questions, the humility to say there are probably others I can learn from, and then the discipline to do it. So
Mm,
I did a training with David Peterson, so I have a little certificate from that, and I'm a Marshall Goldsmith stakeholder centered coach, because that really is a very focused methodology. I learned a lot there. I did a lot of that with my team. Um, and I'm doing the odd sort of LinkedIn course now in order to educate myself on getting better there. Because if you understand what's going on in LinkedIn, that will give you new questions, and it will help you coach people. So I'm just very curious. I like to learn. I like to get myself busy enough so that I don't become arrogant and think that in German we say you've eaten wisdom with a spoon.
I like that. I like that. I like you I'm an avid reader. I read a lot of books. I'm very active on LinkedIn as you are. I see you also. And so to anybody out there, if you are not linked to connected to Olaf or myself, please, make sure you do connect. We are excited to be able to interact with you as well. And while I'm putting that plug in, if you're liking what you hear in this video, make sure you subscribe and hit the like button. I would appreciate that as well. So as we kind of wind down here, let me ask you, what advice do you give to those folks who are just getting started on this idea of adopting a continuous improvement mindset or methodology, and whether they're a small startup or whether they're a medium-sized organization? What advice do you give them?
Yeah, I could talk for hours, but obviously that's not the point. And I think be aware that this is no magic bullet. It's a bit like losing weight, right? It's hard work. It requires the courage to say things are not as good as they could be, even in your own business. It requires the humility to learn
Mhm.
and learn from your team as well, if you're a CEO or leader or what have you. So it's about the collective experience. And then it's literally about the discipline, right? Reading a book about losing weight's not going to lose your weight. As one of my colleagues in the Saidiva leadership team said the other day, we're talking a lot about going to the gym. Let's go to the gym. Talking about going to the gym is not going to help. So it needs a mindset, but it also needs a lot of hard work, and that's what people underestimate. Right? When people ask about the Dana business system, for some people it sounds like we do like this, and then everything works perfectly. It doesn't. A lot of challenges. There's a lot of hard day-to-day work. There's a lot of discussions about do we go this way or that way. That's part of continuous improvement. So no magic bullet. Hard
Mm.
work required.
I Three great points you make there. The importance of evaluating how things are going. What frequency would you suggest that needs to happen? This reflection to learn and grow, and have the humility to say, hey, things aren't going the way we expect them to go, or things aren't as good as they should be. Uh, what frequency would you suggest that dialogue needs to be happening? Is it a weekly? Is it daily? Is it monthly? What's your
You get one of our favorite answers in the DBS office in Dana. It depends. um, it depends a bit on the business cycle I'm talking about. If I'm in the
Mm,
operations space, I should probably do this daily, and then maybe a weekly reflection of how we're doing as a team. if you're more on the innovation side or the strategy cycle side where things are not happening daily, then we found that quarterly is a good moment or good cycle for reflection, maybe even annually when you think about the strategic planning and the execution of the strat plan.
Is there anything you want to say now that you would like people to know that I haven't given you an opportunity to share?
I would just offer, let's keep it simple, right? Often in business, we make things more complicated than they are. And if we keep it simple and ask simple questions, we'll get good answers, I think.
Listen, I want to thank you for the last hour we've had together, and I've really enjoyed it. At some point, I would love to have you back on again when we talk about something else related. If you have anything on your mind. Well, I hope you've enjoyed my three-part series with Olaf Boettger. I'd like to thank Olaf for his willingness to share his skills, his experience, and his expertise with us and with you and with me. The thing I took away the most from my time with Olaf is this whole idea of making sure that we have courage, that we have humility, and that we have the discipline to be able to drive continuous improvement in our networks. If you've enjoyed what you've watched today, make sure you hit the like button, make sure you hit the subscribe button, add a comment about what you liked about this series or what you'd like to see in future series or what you've seen in past series. I'm always open to hear what you have to say. In the meantime, thank you for your time, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode.